Good morning. Hi. Welcome to Holston Valley Unitarian Universalist Church. I am Emily Sikora Catt. I'm a member of the Religious Services Committee, and my pronouns are she and her. Thank you for joining us today, all of you. An especially warm welcome to folks who are new or newer here. Our greeters, our awesome greeters at the door, at the table by the door, can help you get oriented if you have any questions. And if you have any little ones, our greeters by the door can also help show you the way to the nursery, which is available during the service for children ages 6 and under. And a warm welcome to our returning guest, Reverend Jen Raffensperger, who will be speaking to us today about change. How do we navigate the changes of life? Well, it doesn't hurt to let ourselves be guided by love, which is our opening hymn, number 131, Love Will Guide Us.
Thank you, choir. Good morning. Good morning. I'm the Reverend Jen Raffensperger. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And I'm so excited to be visiting Holston Valley again. I was here this summer, my friend, Reverend Tiffany, visiting again. I serve our congregation on most weekends in York, Pennsylvania, and I'm so glad to be here with y'all this morning. We're going to prepare ourselves for worship this morning by hearing some words from Octavia Butler from the parable of the sower. All that you touch, you change. All that you change, changes you. The only lasting truth is change. God is change. Please join us in a moment of quiet contemplation.
As a community here at Holston Valley UU, we've developed a vision statement that does have a little something to say about change. Because transformation is just another word for what the process of change does to us and for us. Let's say our vision statement that's printed in our bulletins together as we light our chalice this morning. We work together as a church to transform ourselves, our community, and our world by sharing love, pursuing justice, and seeking wonder. We'd like to invite our children, parents, kids at heart, come on up to the front to join Reverend Jen for a time for all ages, please.
As mentioned, we are going to be talking about change today. And sometimes change can be kind of scary, right? And sometimes it's really, really exciting, right? So you don't know what's coming, but maybe it's something really good. And maybe you don't know, right? Sometimes we think it's going to be more scary than it actually turns out to be, and then we get that excitement, like that excitement of change, and also that like relief that it went okay, right? So we are just past a holiday, and I'll ask, anybody know what holiday we are just past? Yeah. Groundhog Day, right? And then I also think I heard another something from out here. Imbolc, yes, which are very similar. Imbolc is on the pagan wheel of the year, right, for people who do an earth-centered spirituality. So we've just passed, and the groundhog is part of this too, the midway point between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. So we're halfway through winter, right? We're getting there. We're on our way. I could see it. See it coming. So maybe you get excited about the seasons change. We do have the great good fortune to live in a part of the world, right, where we get different seasons, where it's not always the same, where we get that change, right? Are there things you love about winter? Are there things you love about winter?
Not really.
Are there things you love about winter? Some snow, maybe? No overheating. Some snow. I hear some people, okay, all right. What about spring? What do you like about spring? Flowers.
Maple.
The maypole.
Yeah.
That cloudy green that happens around the trees when it's just starting to change, right? So there's a lot of things to love about the changes of seasons, and Groundhog Day, from my home state, well, my current home state of Pennsylvania, Punxsutawney Phil did not see his shadow and get scared back in. Early spring. Groundhog Day is right about 40% of the time, so let's not make bets, all right? Thanks.
I trust him more than a politician.
Fair? Fair? But anyway. So I have a little poem to share today, and instead of just reading a poem, I've turned it into a body prayer. So I'm going to invite you to do this from your seats. You may stand if you wish. You may also remain seated. I am going to stand so that I can put down my book and read the words. So this is a poem by Nikki Giovanni called Winter Poem. We are still in winter. It's very short. So I'm going to read it through and do the actions once, and I just made these up. So if you feel called to do something else, you do that, all right? But I'm going to have suggestions. So I'm going to read it through once, and then we're going to do it together, okay? Once a snowflake fell on my brow, and I loved it so much, and I kissed it, and it was happy and called its cousins and its brothers, and a web of snow engulfed me, and I reached to love them all, and I squeezed them. I'm squeezing my microphone, I'm sorry. I squeezed them, and they became a spring rain, and I stood perfectly still and was a flower. Right? So we'll do one more time. And then if you didn't like those emotions, do a different one. All right? Once a snowflake fell on my brow, and I loved it so much, and I kissed it, And it was happy and called all its cousins and its brothers, and a web of snow engulfed me, and I reached to love them all, and I squeezed them, and they became a spring rain, and I stood perfectly still and was a flower. Thank you. You can have your seats if you'd like them.
This song was chosen for our wonderful guest and in continued remembrance of our good friend, Gerald Keep. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. Time to be born, and time to die. Time to plant, and time to reap. And time to kill, and time to heal. And time to love, it's time to weep. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. Time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away the stones, a time to gather the stones together. Time to love, a time to hate, a time of war, a time of peace, a time you may embrace, a time to refrain, embracing. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to rent, a time to sow, a time to love, a time to hate, a time for peace. I swear it's not too late. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven.
That was beautiful. This is our time for community candles. If you'd like to share a joy or sorrow in person, then you can use, please, these candles cards that are located on the back table. If you'd like to share a joy or concern from a distance, please email the minister at hvuuc.org. And I do have one card. This is from Reverend Tiffany. Her candle is the candle of gratitude. Thank you to all the wonderful people who showed up, brought food, and helped with details for Gerald Keep's memorial service yesterday. We continue to hold Linda, Nick, and all their family in care with love. If you wish to light your own candle during this time, approach the side of the table that is closest to you, and the closer candle keeper will be happy to assist you. Please light the candles at the back of the table first so that no one's really having to reach over and open flaming flame. If you wish for us to light a candle for you, you can stay seated and please just raise your hand until I acknowledge you, and then I will light a candle for you. Today we will not be singing as we light candles, so we just invite you to look on the light, listen to the music that James will play, and to hold the joys and concerns of our community in your hearts. Our community is so much larger than just those of us who are in the building this morning, so we light another candle to hold space for those who are not physically present with us, but who are ever in our hearts. Our reading today comes from poet and activist Kyle Tran Myrie, who wrote the poetry collection, Not a Lot of Reasons to Sing, but Enough. This is an excerpt from Blessing, All the Threads Between Us. With no faith, you're a fatalist, no use to anyone. With no doubt, though, you're a fanatic, equally useless. One don't fight because victory's impossible. One don't fight because victory's inevitable. And we need fighters. Don't need the right names or looks, just heart, that rhythm halfway between the head and the hand, between doubt and the fist made despite doubt, between faith and the fist made despite faith, the heart translates. We choose to fight, not because we have done the math and know what is going to happen tomorrow. We choose to fight because we do not know. We choose to fight because doubt is real, and faith is real, and hope is real, and none of them are as real as our hands, as the neighbor standing next to us, as the ancestors watching over our shoulders. Words matter less than the lungs that move them. Fighter isn't a philosophy. Organizer isn't an aesthetic. Ally isn't an identity. Tomorrow, what we should have done will be worth exactly what it's worth now. Wind. And not even enough wind to move a piece of ash from here to there. So tonight, be real. Tell your story and listen to others. Feel what you feel and choose to act anyway, to show up, to resist. Ask yourself and ask each other, of what future are these wild early days?
Thank you, Emily. One day, when I was 9 years old, my life changed forever. I have a brother who's 9 years older than me, and I idolized him in the way that only a little sister can. On that fateful day, he had left his library book sitting on the coffee table in our living room, and this book was extremely intriguing to me. The cover was mostly black with some dark blue, and there was this strange, scary face sort of hovering in the sky, in the sunset darkening sky over these low hills. It was a paperback, but it was enormous. On the cover, I read the words, "The Stand, Stephen King." I picked it up. It was over 700 pages long. I put it right the heck back down, and I went back to reading Nancy Drew. But the thing is that there was a seed planted that day. I didn't forget that book. It seemed so strange to me and so unlike anything that I had read in my young life. It fired my imagination even just to read the blurb on the back. Not long after that, I had the good fortune to visit the used bookstore in my town, and I went to my favorite place, the basket of paperback cutouts, which were 4 for $1. And when your allowance is 50 cents, you can get a book, right? And I found another book in that basket with Stephen King's name on it. Salem's Lot, said the cover. And that one was much shorter. So at the grand cost of 27 cents with tax, I took it home with me. And oh, how I devoured that book. And it started a lifelong relationship with Stephen King, and it started a lifelong relationship of inhabiting imaginary worlds that dared me to dream of something hugely strange, different, and other than what I saw around me in my suburban town. So I'd love to hear a few shouted out transformative fictional experiences, movies, books, plays, TV shows, radios, podcasts. I'd love to hear something that really changed your life, like a fiction. The Hobbit, The Giver, Harry Potter, Wicked, Never-Ending Story, Song of Solomon, Anne of Green Gables, yep. Princess Bride. Avatar, The Last Airbender? Orson Scott Card, okay, and then Sailor Moon, yes, all right, okay, great. I know there's bunches we could name, but we do have a certain amount of time together. And now the next more specific question. So how many of you have read the words that we started worship with? How many of you have read Octavia Butler's The Parable of the Sower? Couple of hands, all right, it's great, check it out. All that you touch, you change. All that you change, changes you. The only lasting truth is change. God is change. Octavia Butler dreamed a future, a world powerful beyond measure. And I don't just mean her astounding novels and stories that led her to become the first science fiction writer ever to be given a MacArthur Foundation Award, the so-called Genius Grant. Butler also wrote affirmations in her journal of all that she wanted to be in the world. She started when she was a little girl who did not see black girls in the stories that she read, who wanted to create worlds that more people could recognize themselves in. More doors open, more truth for more people. She also wanted success for herself because she wanted to be able to use that to help others. She wrote motivational notes to herself in her journals, and she wrote them over and over. If there was something she really wanted to manifest, she wrote it down, right? And she started keeping those journals when she was 10 years old. Here is an example of a note that she wrote to herself. This is my life. I write best-selling novels. My novels go onto the bestseller lists on or shortly after publication. My novels each travel up to the top of the bestseller lists, and they reach the top, and they stay on top for months. Each of my novels does this. So be it. See to it. I will find the way to do this. So be it. See to it. Octavia Butler didn't just want to dream of different worlds. She wanted to change this one. And she knew that one informed the other. The so be it was, okay, this is going to be. I'm giving that out to the universe. And the see to it, that was for her. She had to write the thing. I mean, it might have also been for the universe. See to it, universe. But she knew the power of story. She knew that when we read of different worlds, of changed worlds, when we take up the powerful co-creation of change in these fictional spaces, we can inspire ourselves and others to work together towards a shared vision of a future that's so different from all that we fear. Not that there's any lack of things to fear in her novels, especially the parables. The Parable of the Sower, published in 1993, is set in an eerily prescient world full of rampant climate change, government corruption, growing wealth inequality, and corporate greed. And the year that novel begins? 2024. Well, here we are. Nestled at the top of this year, and we know big changes are coming. The ones we're expecting and the ones we're not expecting, right? When we know that no matter what the nature of the changes, there are going to be some people who are upset and some people who are ecstatic. And people will feel affirmed and other people will feel erased. Are we there? Is this that dystopia? Humanity loves a dystopian story, don't we? But why? Why rush to consume the stories of a place or a time where things seem bleak, seem closed, seem frightening, where dream seeds could barely scratch a foothold in the barren soil. Because some of those seeds can make it. Some of them do catch hold. Those snowflakes gather with joy and they melt in embrace and they make the rains that turn the barren land into one flower, then another, until the landscape is bursting with all that could not be imagined before. This is why we read dystopian novels, see the horror movies, play the games set in the zombie apocalypse. We want to be ready. When it does come, when we arrive in that strange future year, we want to have witnessed others like us also coping with crisis, also running to safety, also teaming up with others to do more than each could do alone. We want to imagine people worrying and planning despite their faith, moving and working despite their doubt. Because if we can imagine them, we can also imagine being them. We can imagine singing the songs that bring life to the world. We can imagine the flower growing in the barren soil. We choose to fight not because we have done the math and know what is going to happen tomorrow. We choose to fight because we do not know. We choose to fight because doubt is real, and faith is real, and hope is real, and none of them are as real as our hands, as the neighbor standing next to us, as the ancestors watching over our shoulders. Today's reading by one of my very favorite poets, Kyle Tranmere, is a single poem from a longer cycle called Not a Lot of Reasons to Sing, But Enough. And this poem cycle is set in, guess what? Dystopian future, yes, where the undesirables, the resistance, if you will, of the world have been shipped off to the moon, where a robot poet and their human apprentice poet travel from settlement to tell their poems and share their stories around the fires of communities yearning and trying to make a better life for themselves, preparing to fight if that's what it takes. Yes, that's right, this book smashes together speculative fiction and poetry and thus quickly became one of my favorite things in the entire world. So, words matter less than the lungs that move them. Fighter isn't a philosophy. Organizer isn't an aesthetic. Ally isn't an identity. Tomorrow, what we should have done will be worth exactly what it's worth now. Wind, and not even enough wind to move a piece of ash from here to there. So tonight, be real. Tell your story and listen to others. Feel what you feel and choose to act anyway. To show up, to resist. Ask yourself and ask each other, of what future are these, the wild early days? I'll tell you a secret. Little me loved reading Stephen King because she felt so scared of so many things already. King dared to show me people like me, kids, finding a way to go on in the face of the unimaginable. Little Octavia Butler, writing in her journal and fighting to create worlds where Black girls like her were accepted, welcome, honored, respected. She dared to become a writer who did exactly what she set out to do. If someone had asked her, of what future are these, the wild early days, I feel like she might have taken that challenge literally. like she might have taken up her pen and said, I will write my way through to that future. I will take you to the place where the barren land explodes with flowers and we all know our true worth. Feel what you feel and choose to act anyway, to show up, to resist. We choose to fight because doubt is real, and faith is real, and hope is real, and none of them are as real as our hands, as the neighbors standing next to us, as the ancestors watching over our shoulders. There is a truth that resides in fiction. There is something we recognize in one another as we gather to share our stories around the fire and listen to each other. We don't always get to pick the fire. We don't always get to pick the fight. We don't always get the change we want. But nothing lives that does not change. Nothing grows any more real than our hands, our neighbors, our ancestors. The only lasting truth is change. The stories we tell now change the stories that we live into. What kind of stories do we want to tell each other? What kind of stories do we want to believe about each other? There is a way to that place where the snow melts because of love and feeds the flowers that transform a barren land. It takes imagination to find the path. It takes a willingness to transform and to be transformed. It takes faith, and it takes doubt, and it takes love, and it takes ourselves, and it takes our neighbors, and it takes our ancestors. All we can say with certainty about the future is that it will hold change. All we can do is prepare for the future while we live within its wild early days. All we can do is let our heart translate the work of our head and of our hands. So be it. See to it.
Changes abound. Around us, within us, between us, in our communities, our neighborhoods, and our beloved faith communities. Changes abound. May we each find the balance point we need as we move through our ever-changing world, the balance between the old and the new, between the known and the unknown, between the familiar and the perhaps bold and risky possibilities that may be there waiting. Thank you for being here with us today.
Come and go with
can I add at this point? Thank you, choir. Yes, thank you. Come and go with each other. We transform ourselves and transform the world with the power of our imagination, the power of our community. So be it. See to it. All right.